In part 4 of the Adecco Better Work, Better Life interview series, we're pleased to welcome Ben Pulham and Jonathan Fong from Racers Toolbox. Racers Toolbox is Singapore's #1 exercise lab, providing specialist workout programs and testing to individuals interested in losing weight or performing better in a sporting event. The company helps individuals both physically and mentally to prepare for an event and to support better work and better life. Ben and Jonathan are both elite athletes. Ben has been a professional athlete ranked as high as 53rd in the world and has been involved in endurance sport for the past 17 years. And John is one of just a handful of qualified sports scientists here in Singapore and has been on the triathlon scene for the past 14 years. They are both highly qualified to discuss and comment on the subject of work-life balance. So Ben and John, thanks for joining us today.
Thank you.
John, I'd like to ask you the first question. As a trained athlete, how important is it for someone to be fit and healthy in the workplace? And can that make a real difference to the way in which they work?
Well, Ian, I think it's especially important for someone to be physically fit in the workplace, basically because with regular exercise, right, the body is able to take in more oxygen, and with more oxygen, it is able to supply it to the brain, which keeps the brain alert and it keeps them physically active. Secondly, I think it's important because the mental and physical conditioning will help them to deal with longer working hours, right, and also to deal with higher volumes of workload. I think lastly also it's good for individuals to build up self-confidence and to have self-awareness through exercise, because it helps them with business and with work.
Great, excellent. So John, behind us we've got some pretty sophisticated equipment which is used when people come into the lab to understand more about their own level of fitness and wellness. Yeah. When someone does come in here, what are some of the things that are often surprised about after you've tested them?
Well, Ian, basically when people come in, they come in with already wanting to make changes in their lives. So they come to us trying to find out what exactly do they need to change or what can they change. So through the test, we actually determine what the main test that we do, which is a fuel efficiency test. It determines their body's ability to burn fat. And a lot of them are really, really surprised because they think that they're very good at burning fat, but in actual fact, they're not. And for some also, they want to start losing weight, but are not sure how to do it. And basically through the results and through the testing, we're able to help them and tell them exactly what they need to do and at what intensity to exercise at to effectively burn the fat off. Right. Which for some, they realize that they've been doing it all wrong, which is the biggest thing. They've been like, oh, I go to the gym and I've been doing it all wrong and I haven't been losing any weight. So
there's a level of education in there as well.
Yes, exactly. Okay. So, I mean, the test is great to get the information, but I think it's also more important to understand why your body works a certain way and why you can't get results if you're doing it wrong.
So staying on that point, when somebody does come in here, do people tend to talk about they want to be fitter and healthier and more alert in the workplace? Is that something that's sometimes on their minds?
Yes, I think for them, a lot of times, if they're not physically fitter, they feel less confident, they feel less able to do things. And I think that translates to work also because it's their personal well-being and then it translates to them at work. So I do feel that for them, if they can achieve things on a physical level, it will help them in terms of performance in the office, on the workforce.
Perfect. Okay, so Ben, we are living in times of challenge and change, and many people are experiencing stress and being stressed in the workplace. Living a healthier lifestyle, understanding your body, can that really help people deal with stress and know what's going on?
Most definitely. I think a lot of the time stress is caused through lack of balance, and by understanding your body and knowing where you can push and where you need to hold back can really be a great benefit. So we know a lot of our clients who go out and they run actually find it's a good way to offset their stress from the office because it just clears their mind and puts their fitness in balance with the day-to-day tasks of work.
Right. Could you give me maybe just 2 tips of how someone at the very end of a very stressful day could de-stress?
Sure. A good way is just to get out either on a treadmill at the gym or outside in the fresh air and just go for a walk or for a run.
Right. And is it probably fair to say that a lot of people aren't doing that and are continuing stress day after day?
Most definitely.
Right.
Yeah, I think a lot more could be done.
Okay. Now, question to you, John. Yeah. As both very competent, accomplished athletes and now as entrepreneurs and growing a business, you've obviously got to get some work-life balance going yourself. How do you achieve that?
Well, from our experience as athletes, we've learned through the years that planning and measurement are very, very important and quintessential for us to become elite athletes. And basically, we try to apply that to our work also in terms of, as Ben mentioned earlier, work and balance. It's the same thing. When you train, you want to make sure that you have enough time to recover. Without recovery, your body just gets more and more tired. Your brain and your body gets more tired. So this then turns to training or work not being quality, which isn't good. So with us, what we do is, for us as an outlet, we actually get more involved with the sports community outside. So outside of what we do with corporate and with the lab work, we get involved with the sports community through us racing or us training people. And basically through that, we help to instill and to preach the concept of a healthier lifestyle through smart exercise.
Right.
Yeah.
Now, living here in Singapore, we see a lot of marathons, half marathons, triathlons, and over the past couple of years, there's been an increase in the number of events. It's huge, you're right. Why is that happening all of a sudden now? Where's that interest coming from?
Well, I'll answer this question. Well, I think that through the years, Singaporeans, or people in Singapore basically, are now searching for things to really challenge themselves. People are wanting to challenge themselves, and they've kind of steered away from the typical norms that used to be normal, and they want to go on to do things that are a little bit more outlandish. I wouldn't say outlandish, but outside of their comfort zone, and really push their limits. And I think from one person having the experience in such a race, they share it with others, and then everyone else wants to jump on the bandwagon and say, hey, this is something that's interesting. I want to challenge myself. Let's go out and do it.
Right.
Yeah.
And from everything we said today, obviously that level of fitness in your private life is going to contribute to what you do at work and how you perform there as well.
Yeah.
So Ben, as an individual, if I came in to see you in the lab and I was preparing for a marathon 4 months from now, what are the first things that you would do with me to help me prepare for that event?
Okay, I think the first thing we would do is run a number of tests. The reason being is we need to understand what's going on the inside so that we can create programs that will improve your performance and make you look better on the outside. So the two tests that I would recommend for a marathon runner are the lactate test and the fuel efficiency test.
Right, so John, as a sports scientist, tell me what a lactate test actually is.
Okay, a lactate test basically is testing to see your body's ability, how well your body clears lactic acid. Lactic acid is something that is produced as a byproduct that causes your muscles to fatigue. So when you're running a marathon, if your body's already producing lactic acid and accumulating it, basically you start getting slower and slower. So you end up struggling towards the end of the marathon or struggling to finish it. So by finding out what your actual current ability is, we are then able to design a training program best suited for you to train that ability to improve that. So that when you actually go out and do your actual marathon in 4 months, you're actually able to stay on track and not actually end up slowing down towards the end.
Right. Okay, great. So we're coming towards the end of our time together. Ben, if I had to ask you for one piece of learning or advice to leave us with, what would that be?
Manage your energy. I think too many people rush in and don't really have any structure and tend to overload themselves, whether it's at work or exercising, and tend to go on a downward slope. So I think the most important thing that they can do is start out how you intend to finish and just gradually build your way into it and manage your load and recovery.
And manage your energy, great.
Correct.
John,
I just want to add to that. I think that it's also important on how they approach their training and their exercise or even life, is that you need to be able to understand and manage your expectations. Some people go into joining marathons and stuff, and they expect themselves to finish and push themselves, and you need to learn to manage your expectations on what your body can do. And this is where the education of how the body works is very, very important, and that's why we provide our services to help people to understand themselves so they can then manage themselves better.
Great, perfect. Great points. Thanks for spending the time with us today, both John and Ben from Racers Toolbox, and see you again soon.
Thanks, Ian.